Hello, wonderful listeners. We were going to record an episode today anyway. And, you know, Ben's just had his wonderful birthday yesterday. I'm sure you had a lovely time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was a nice one, thanks.
Yeah. But it also coincided with something very tragic and very close to our heart, and Ben's heart especially. And it is the death of a wonderful director, Mr. David Lynch. Big loss.
Massive loss.
It was weird for me, very weird to have, Jenny had just come home. We had been opening presents and birthday cards and stuff, and it was like, right now we're going to get the red wine will come out, and there's going to be a meal coming. So all these sort of good vibes, and then it had been posted 4 minutes previous on the official Facebook page that he had died, and it was such a strange feeling. Because it was like, on the one hand, it was like, well, this is, it was like, here's my birthday, we're going to do this nice thing. And then it was like, here's this sort of crushing news. And it's stupid in a way because I don't know the man. He's not been connected to me in my life on a personal level, or we've never interacted. He's not a family member. But
it's part of your passion for everything he does, kind of thing. So it has to make an impact.
It was very strange. I had to put a block on it. I had to mute some chats. I was muted some chats so that I could kind of like process it in my way. And I hate when someone dies like this and people make it all about them. And this isn't an attempt to do that, but it's also this is a film podcast.
Yeah.
And if you had problems with me talking about Palestine a month ago, surely it's okay for us to pause for a minute and talk about David Lynch, which for me on a personal level, like that's my guy, that's my director. He's been so,
of course,
close to me and my persuasions. He is the embodiment of what I love about film and just art, the creative outlets in life. And him going feels so unfair because we're in a world where we need his sort of energy more than ever. It will continue and his work will continue, but we fucking lost just an absolute giant.
Absolutely.
And not only the film world, but just the whole world is going to be, it's worse off without him. There is an energy from him and a beauty and a reason for why I love film so much, that with him dies, and it does feel like a little bit of me dies. I'm not being dramatic when I say it. It feels like a little bit of me has died with him going as well, and many other people will feel like that.
What was that quote he said though? He says, when you're looking at the donut, just don't focus on the hole, focus on the donut.
Yes, it's a very abstract quote.
But it's like focus on what is there rather than what's not there. So
he said, what does he say? He said, focus on the whole, not the donut. So he's like saying, look at what's not there rather than what's there.
I swear it was the other way around.
You might want to get your quotes correct.
Let's confirm.
Let's confirm this quote. But I'm pretty
Lynch.
sure I saw it was think is what is there, what's not there.
Keep your eye on the donut, not the hole. You're right, Adam.
Oh, Adam's for once in his life.
I know, and what a time to pull it out the bag, Adam. Well done.
Yeah.
Just scored you on your favourite man.
I know, look at that. But you see, there's the beauty of Lynch. I would argue that his work is the opposite, because what he's saying is, he's basically saying, look at what's there, not what's not there. But in order to unlock the key to so much that he's done, as we found out when we did Mulholland Drive and with Twin Peaks and everything, you have to go beyond exactly what you see. You can use what you see to feel something, but you then need to look at what's not there.
But in the same vein, it's a case of, well, it is all there for your interpretation. Everything is there on the page. He's put it there, so work it out.
I think that quote was more about life rather than his art. I think it was kind of a focus on.
Well, his life was art. His life was the art life.
He lived it, mate. Yeah, he lived
Talking about like Mulholland Drive, that episode that we did, Mulholland Drive I think it probably is one of my favourite episodes we've done, just because of how in depth we went, and it really does feel like I never went to like film school or uni or whatever to study film. It's all just film that. But you know, when people always talk about the films that they studied at uni, I feel like that one was us studying a film. You know how Jamie talks about the films that he covers at uni. That was our version of that, and that's kind of what I remember it as. It's kind of almost like, you know, people write their. You said it about, what was it? Streetcar Named Desire, all those kind of things. One, Mulholland Drive, was that almost from me that didn't go to school, just studying it like that.
But that's a lovely thing, isn't it? Because it goes hand in hand with the idea that you don't have to study anything to feel it, to understand it on your own personal level. Like Lynch would have been the first person to be like, you don't need to go to the books to work out what something means to come to this film and understand it. Everyone will interpret it on another. It's music. His work is music. Just like anyone can enjoy anything, any song. You don't need to study anything. You just take your own meaning from it. Yes, there's one true meaning perhaps, but you're never going to know it for sure. But we did a great job working with the material to unpick it. And yeah, that was a hell of a lot of fun. Very daunting thing to do, because
absolutely so
his
daunting.
work is so beautifully cryptic. But that's the thing. And the truth is, I love the idea that all his secrets are gone with him now. All the meaning, all the possible explanations that may have one day come from him, they're not coming. And we're left with the art now to decipher and unpick if we want to. You don't have to. You can just feel some of it as well.
Yeah, it works on many levels, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you watched anything of his since?
I just finished watching The Art Life this morning. I was like, I'm not going to be able to watch one of his films, but I want to hear from him. And that was really lovely. It was a nice way of processing it in a way, because it was just him talking about his art life. I don't know if I ever spoke about that film before, but it's a documentary that he made about 5 years ago, and it's him in his art studio in his place in LA, and he's narrating it. You see him in a booth talking about different bits of his life, but you just see him creating his artworks, and you know, like his artworks is very striking and strange. You see things like he's like taking a saw to the canvas and ripping out chunks of the canvas, and then putting like this like warm sticky plastic in the canvas and ripping it to create these shapes. Very fascinating. And all the while he's talking about different moments from his past, like when he was a kid and all that stuff. And there's something very beautiful about it, because it's like what he's saying here is, he starts off the documentary, the first few lines, he says, whatever you create now, whatever idea you have now, you always bring the past into it. And so you're seeing him create these works of art, and then you hear him talking about his past, and you're like, okay, so these things you're putting in the canvas are little expressions of your moments that you've had in your life. He tells this fascinating story. Everything's very lovely about the first 5-10 minutes in the documentary about his life growing up with his parents. He was like very happy home. Mum and dad got on very well. It was lovely, etc., etc. And then it takes on this really weird tone, and he says, me and my little brother were sitting outside on the curb, and our dad was calling to us, and we didn't go in, we didn't respond to him. And then suddenly I looked up, and out of the shadows, this pale, naked woman was stumbling towards us, and she had blood around her mouth, and she was crying. And he just lets that linger and then just moves on. And it's like, fuck, man, is that true? It's like, well, I'm sure it is, but it's like, wow, that summarizes his story so well. You see such beautiful, sweet, normal, everyday things, Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet, and then you have moments of extreme fucking shocking violence and brutality.
Unexplained. Just there.
And then he goes on to this other one, and he says, a few years later, my mum and me and my brother, where we were sitting outside under this tree. It was a beautiful day, and we had neighbours, the Stevens, and the Stevens were out. They weren't at home, and we were all sitting there. And then the door of Mr. Stevens' house opened, and then he goes, I can't tell this story. And then it just trails off.
It's like a master of suspense and horror in some ways. Like it's like the Lost Highway. The moment where the guy
that.
comes back and and then you hear him on the phone. It's like the most intense, like creepy, and it just lets it sit there, doesn't it? Like, and it's all in your head. The fear of it, because it's just so unexplained. So anything like that's always scarier in horror, when something's like not delved into too deeply. It's just left with you, and you have to make your own interpretation of it. And
it's lovely.
That's masterful work.
It's the beautiful thing about his films, and that's why I'm so sad about him passing. Like I said to Jenny this morning, all my life since being into film, I've always thought about one day De Niro's going to die, one day Pacino's going to die, and that's going to be a big day, and it will, and everyone will be talking about it. But the reality is, when one of them goes, I ain't going to feel like I'm feeling right now, because I'll be like, that's the end. They were a great actor, but the whole world knew them, etc. And everyone knows David Lynch also, but because his work it just feels so unique and so personal. He has this beautiful way of whether he wanted to or not, making his work feel like it's just for you. Like any art is, when you look at a painting or you listen to a song, you feel like that song is just for you when you connect with it. That is why this one hurts so much, because it does feel like someone that you have in your life. And I don't even know why I started saying that. I can't remember the beginning of the conversation.
I agree. It's like because his films are so divisive, and like that you either go with or you don't. It gives you that opportunity to feel something for yourself in the films. It doesn't give you like an obvious picture, and I think you have to give yourself over to it and give a little piece of yourself to it. So I think you'll always be closer to something like that than just something that's just a straight up story.
Or a straight
You're
story.
right. Or a straight story.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think there is an element though when it comes to someone like Lynch, and you probably meant on the same level as Scorsese in that way of like, there is so much creativity that comes with that person. Like, it's not just an actor who is performing almost someone else's vision. I mean, obviously their own vision is part of that, but with Lynch, it was from top to bottom, everything was him. Like, when I watched that, What Did Jack Do yesterday, it's like obviously it's short and it's probably a bit simpler, but like everything was done by him. Yeah. Even the set design, he built this. He was on like building the set construction. He was like,
he loves to be involved in all of that stuff, yeah, exactly. Right? All the set construction,
over everything, and it is like everything you see is his vision. From, I mean, obviously apart from the end bit of Twin Peaks when it went a bit wayward, but
we love it still.
Everything is his vision. It's his fingerprints all over it, and there is a different level of creativity that comes with it. And it probably is almost like when Prince died in music, it was something that weirdly you get it, and there's someone a bit bigger than the art that they make. And even like the post that you put up yesterday, I found out from you when you put it on the chat, that quote, and it's like the artist known as David Lynch, and it almost sounded like he was retiring. It almost was like the artist is dead, but Lynch is alive. That's
you thought it was a symbol, a Prince symbol type thing.
Yeah, it's almost like David Lynch is no longer making films. He's putting a statement out. He's, like you said, you roughly knew he was ill. Maybe you didn't know how bad he was, but like he's actually died is a. And even like when you put it on the chat, you put "My king has died," and I was like, we were like, who? Because I thought you were going to be like a little bit sarcastic with somebody, like I don't know, like a football player or someone like that, rather than like Lynch. I thought it was so shocking that it was actually him.
I know. When it also feels like it should absolutely be him, because he was 78 and had emphysema and all that stuff. Funnily enough, at your birthday, Adam, I've forgotten her name, sorry, your cousin's wife?
Eka, yeah.
Yeah. We got to talking about David Lynch, and she was like, isn't it so sad that he's going to die soon? And I was like, he's not going to die. She's like, he's got emphysema. I was like, yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean he's going to die anytime soon.
Isn't it from smoking? Because he just loves smoking.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it.
Even he put art into smoking.
He did. Like at the time when he released the statement to say that he had emphysema, even the way he spoke about smoking was poetic, because he was like, the doctors have say that I've got it. I can't do it anymore, but I have enjoyed smoking. I've loved smoking, lighting cigarettes on fire, and it's just calling it that, lighting cigarettes on fire.
The poetic nature of that sentence. Yeah,
it's beautiful. And watching that documentary this morning, and he's just smoking all the way through it, and it's like, this is bittersweet, because if you ain't smoking in this footage, that's not you, that's not David Lynch, and you know how much pleasure he got from it. But also, I'm watching the thing that has just caused your death.
But also, yesterday. He would have, if you asked him 1,000 times tomorrow, he'd say, I still do it every way since.
Yeah, he would
do it my way. I'm doing the enjoyable way. Like,
exactly.
Is that whole thing of like, why should you try and live a bit longer? What if you don't enjoy it?
I know, exactly.
Life's to be enjoyed, so why would you stop something you enjoy?
Exactly. We all got to live that art life, and we got to keep things weird. We're at a very dangerous time of just going with
AI,
everything being super explained and real obvious and people pleaser and nothing challenging. We got to keep shit challenging in art and music.
Maybe his death now will like create people to be more like that. Like it might be a kick up the arse and be like, fuck it, like look how loved he is. Like if you go on Instagram, everyone is like posting a tribute to him, especially in that. And it's like there's obviously, so there is people out there who love him, and like why? And it's so obvious how loved he is. So why can't more films not be like him, because you can never do it, but more people try and take on that. It's obviously got a market out there.
The daunting fact of wanting to fill in that space, though, is it's
yeah,
like,
but you're not saying you have to fill in that gap, but like
when he was still alive, it's like, why would I try and take on that behemoth? It's like, I don't need to. He's right there, and he's going to give me exactly what I want.
I think it's more of not even trying to be David Lynch. It's just trying to be yourself in how you make films, rather than being told by a studio or I don't know, something like that to explain it or not. Just do it, and people will love it.
This is the thing. Everyone's got a little bit of him in them. I think people are afraid to let it out through whatever outlet, and him passing should be a case of don't be afraid, pursue the idea, pursue the weird thing.
Is it almost giving you like a kick up the arse to do some stuff, like, or are you just in that moment at the moment of?
Fortunately, I'm very grateful that I'm making this film that I'm doing at the moment, because it is Lynchian and it is indulging weirdness and abstract concepts, and that is helpful.
You can dedicate it to him.
I dedicate it to him. But listen, let's not exhaust the point. People are sad, everyone's sad. I will say this. One thing that's hard, because it's a weird thing to say, but you said, Adam, everyone posting on Instagram about it, and the thing that's nice, but it feels like it takes something away from your own experience to see it. When you see Seth Rogen posting about David Lynch and we've lost this one, when you see someone who annoys you from social media posting, he's gone, it's like you don't get it. You don't really get it.
I mean, they still can. We are still. It's just like the humanity, like you. That whole thing of like you might dislike these people, but deep down you're all inside the same, and it's human. Like everyone is like got those same feelings as you deep down inside, and there is like a level to bond on with people, even if you don't like them, and appreciate art. And art is appreciated by everyone in different ways. Somebody might watch Twin Peaks and probably a bit like myself watch it and go, oh, that's good, and then you've got someone like yourself who delves into it fully and lives and breathes it and takes every single little thing and dissects it. And there's people who you can watch it on these different levels of how you look at it, and everyone's getting what they want out of it.
I know.
And it's also the power and the magic of the man that he touched so many people's hearts and inspired people, that it made him feel like, oh, he inspired me. It's my own personal loss, where it's clearly like it just shows you the magnitude and breadth of that power, that he's touched so many like people's hearts. Yes,
that is true. That is a nice point.
And also, it's like everyone's coming together around something and celebrating a man rather than everything else that's going on in the world at the moment. It's nice to come together and celebrate rather than...
True. And with everything that's going on in LA at the moment, where he lived, the fact that fire was such a significant thing for him in so much work, it's weirdly fitting that he goes as fires are blazing in LA around his home.
Mm-hmm.
Something weirdly prophetic about all those fire walk with me lines and whatnot.
Yeah,
and last thing I'll say on a personal level is when I did that Palestine video and spoke about so many people disappointing me, all these different actors and whatnot, it was at the end of last year, my learning was not that I idolize people, but I'm just not going to get invested in artists behind the work. But this man is the perfect example of how that is simply not possible sometimes. It's simply not possible because the art is the artist when it comes to him. And if he disappointed me, so be it, but he never did. And I'm going to open myself up to disappointment because it's better to believe in some people and like the way that they think. Like, I could have just never got into David Lynch's backstory and why he does what he does and learning a bit more about him. I could cut that out, but I would have missed out on so much beautiful stuff and learnings. He's hugely inspirational as a creative, and that it was worth it. It's worth it sometimes, so take a chance on people. I like, in a weird way, that he died on my birthday because it feels like I have a little connection. What's very strange is that
even more personal than anyone else who's feeling the loss because it's on your birthday.
Yeah, that is your personal one more than everyone else.
Well, I think next year when I turn 40 that I will get my Twin Peaks tattoo. I was talking to Jenny about it last night.
You're getting the owl.
And that will make sense. No, but we have several ideas.
And I didn't realise his birthday in like 2 days as well.
Yeah.
It's all kind of...
He was going to be 79. And again, weird. I mean, things are weird. I'm not going to labour this point, but my granddad died just before his birthday. And then I dreamt of my granddad the morning of my birthday. I hadn't dreamt of him in ages. And I was with him. And Lynch is always talking about dreams so much. And then for him to die and there to be this dream stuff. And for Lynch to almost be the age of my granddad, for Lynch to be double my age, literally double my age, the age that I turned yesterday, all of this stuff he would find delightful, I'm sure.
That's what I mean. It's almost saying to you, it's almost stirred the creative in you.
Exactly.
It's almost
anyway. Come on. Thanks for allowing us to talk about it for a bit, but normal service must resume. But we're on a Lynch, and let's go and talk about a bunch of films that are nowhere near as good.